Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. It's been raining like it's monsoon season here in Kansas City. The last few days, my brother cuts grass, and so it's sort of cut into his business. But also, I find it interesting for myself that there's like a mini lake in the back. So, with that being said, the mold count around my house and recording facility has gone exponentially up. So, if it seems like I have, let's say, a cloggy voice, a froggy voice, nasal passage issues, please forgive me. It's allergies to the mold, pollen, and the other things that are going on right now. The smell of plant reproduction is what I'm dealing with. All right. Hope you enjoyed these special 2 episodes that I've had recently. Roni KJS and Howard Brock. I know a lot of things have gone on, with heroclix lately, and I just wanted to do something a little bit more positive. A little bit more positive. All right, let's get into today's topic, and you're going to be like, Dark Logos, man, you've been putting it off, and I know I've been putting it off. We're going to look at Teen Titans, the set, and I know by now some of y'all are like, well, dude, talk about Fear itself. Come on, man, but that's okay. But we'll talk about Teen Titans, and as it stands now, in my opinion, Teen Titans minus the Super Boosters is a very mediocre set. Okay, it's not quite a sinister, and I would say it's like a hair below a Collateral Damage. And for those people that remember Collateral Damage, you had some good fun pieces in Collateral Damage. But if you compare to like all the stuff that came out previously, it was a step down. So is this a depowering set? Yes. At the same time, there is some new hotness that I feel people will overlook and not think about, just because of the Justice League and some of the other team dials. So with that being said, we'll get started. And one brief thing. The show on the team dials, I based a lot of that on theory crafting, and I'll admit that, and not as much playing. After playing Justice League and for a bazillion matches, I actually do believe that Justice League is imbalanced, and that there's going to have to be some things to be fixed. With the team dial itself, just the mechanic, it's just way too strong for what you're building in the meta, and it's creating a toxic environment in the sense of our only response to it is you either you get beat by the Justice League, or you create a team in which the Justice League player cannot make actions, and I'm talking about the Uatu Unspoken Handcuffs combination. If the Uatu Unspoken player cuffs the Justice League player isn't having fun. Neither is the Uatu player. I mean, whoever said, yeah, I want to play a Uatu Unspoken and that's going to be really awesome. Like, no. Like, it's just not. So, the game really goes into a lot of unfun. And I've talked to 2 of 3 world champions, and both of them admit that there's a lot of problems here. So, okay, on to happy fun time. Now, what I'm going to do is this. I am going to say, hey guys, these pieces are good in a magical world where there aren't team dials. Everything else exists, just not team dials. Now, you might be saying, well, why is that? Because if you're building to beat team dials right now, I would almost say you're wasting your time. Just in all honesty, With the way the mechanics are, you're wasting your time. If you want to come back and say, hey guys, let's have a tournament without team dials, then things open up. You have a lot more diversity. But with team dials in the mix, we have some problems. So I'm going from the analysis of, hey, no team dials are going to be used for the tournament. Okay. Now, if you want me to do analysis of, hey man, team dials, what can I do to back up with it? It's a case by case basis, and it's mainly like, what do you use to pimp out your team dial more? So that's pretty much it. Okay, let's go into it. I'm mainly going to do picks, my favorite picks and characters that I think that are useful and at the point values that they come in at. A note with the Teen Titans set, I'd about to say Justice League set, is that we actually see an abundance of multi-starting line figures. So I'm going to try to be specific at what point value am I talking about. Okay. First off is Robin. And I'm looking at Robin at the 50-point value because I think that's the only thing of value. His higher point version, there are better Robins that do the leadership gig. The improved movement is great. Batman in Teen Titans TA is great. Super Senses and Outwit is great. 5 range and new rules is going to be 6, but you're paying 50 points, so that's fine. Plus you have Batman in Teen Titans TA for a wild card. Overall, for the 4 clicks that you get for that, it's worth it. So, I would say this is a new meta figure. Next up is Fairchild at 75 points. And you might be thinking, Dark Logos, that's steep for 4 clicks. Yeah, her imperv clicks I don't like that for 25 more points. If you have the points you want to throw around, go ahead. But I really don't like her imperv clicks. I think if you're just looking for a point and click, drop and do damage brick, she's it. And she does a good amount of damage. And then also she has built-in shape change, but it only succeeds on a 6, which gives her a little bit more survivability and gives her ghetto imperv, really. When she does get hit and she lands on leap, climb, quake, and outwit, I still think she's viable then. She's not doing the major damage she was before, but hey, it's still goodness. Next up is the Beast Boy and Gordinian form, and this is mainly just to link all the Beast Boys throughout time into one major awesome team. And considering that he has the Teen Titans keyword, start with this Beast Boy, morph into another Beast Boy, get the bonuses from his back to something natural. You get to modify a chosen combat value by +1, and trust me, if you go from this to T-Rex mode, or this into Cheetah mode, or this into Bear, wow, that's some big numbers that you're looking at. The Gordinian is no sloucher at any point in time. So, definitely one of my major picks of, get this figure if you can. Next up is Jinx, and I think Jinx is going to be, if anyone goes to a major tournament this summer, I think Jinx is going to be the figure that people are going to play for cheap prob, and I wouldn't be surprised if people play multiples of her. Now note, because she has that 5 range that's going to turn into a 6 in new rules, I would say this. She is prob that is mainly there to support and back up your team more so than to jack with your opponent's team. If you're looking for something that would jack with your opponent's team, you're still looking back at Enchantress. She'll do that job a lot better. But for the pure fact that you get super senses and barrier on top of your nice lovely prob, forget the fact that her damage values suck. She's never attacking anyway. She's always going to be putting up barrier if she can. So overall, even though she's a short clicks, 4 clicks, you're getting a lot in that 39 point value. So definitely pick up a Jinx or 2 or 3. Next up on my options here is Wonder Girl. I don't have a problem with her. I think that Could she have been done a little bit better? Yeah, but her pull them closer is a very nice touch that can allow her to do a lot of damage. She is mainly, in my opinion, a glorified taxi slash perplexer slash hey man, I might do an attack sort of figure. She holds about 4 roles that she can do, and she can do them pretty well. And so I feel that there's a lot of value with her. Add in Indomitable, and you're actually doing pretty good, actions per over your turns, and then good damage as well. But also, growing darkness. That's the thing that makes me hesitant on her. Is that if you're having problems with her top click, you just wait till she has 2 tokens and just move like a pog or something next to her, and she'll end up taking damage if your opponent can't deal with that pog. So, yeah, that's my problem with Wonder Girl. Okay, but she's still good. Next up is Nowhere Soldier. Nowhere Soldier, the main reason that we're looking at Nowhere Soldier is that he gives us Superman enemy TA at cheap. That's it. I mean, with all the new rules that's coming out with Outwit, getting Outwit for wild cards cheap, and then getting your wild card next to him that has like a 10 range, all of a sudden you're in magic land. Okay, so definitely think about Nowhere Soldier and the potential that he has right there. Next up is Red Star, and the main reason I like Red Star is because he starts to break some of the ridiculous formula that we've seen in that one sub 135 era. Mainly that Marvel and DC 10th of, oh my gosh, look at ridiculous damage, but it's all top loaded. With Red Star, he sort of averages out, but he's consistent. He has 3 clicks of hypersonic speed, a complete dial of move and attack, and he has a lot of abilities that are just overall good. He can always crack invulnerability or impervious, or has a chance to. So I like him overall. His special powers at the beginning, the energy shield, deflection, and toughness, that helps a lot and definitely help him approach, and so he doesn't just get killed. So I think there's a lot of potential there. I would say he's a must if you're just looking to play some fun Teen Titans teams. You gotta pack him. All right. Next up is Solstice. Solstice is pretty much heroclix 2.0 support. She attacks, she helps out, but main thing about Solstice is that she's a follow-up attacker, or she's the first strike attacker. And you might say, it doesn't make sense why she's a first strike attacker. With a natural 3 damage, she's running shotting into position for your main attacker to hit. She hits first, possibly softening up a target or hitting another target, while then your other attacker gets into position for that range shot right next to her to use enhancement. For your Teen Titans, I would definitely say that she's one that you have to consider, but also keep in mind that she is very front loaded. Once she gets off her top click, her usefulness goes down a lot. I don't think she's the best taxi, but I do think overall that she's a really good piece to look at. Regen gives her some sustainability for your Teen Titans, so they can keep healing and whatnot. But I would not rely on that too much. All right, next up is Osiris, and I like Osiris. Is he high meta? Not really, but I like him. I also feel that just for what he does with being able to not be targeted by incapacitated mind control, puts him in a whole different league of awesome. Because a lot of people aren't going to think about that. Definitely in where I would say the top mind controllers in the meta right now are Omen and Brother Voodoo. For you to have this big, huge brick that can come at them and they can't do anything about it directly, they're going to have some problems against Osiris. So definitely I would think about them. And then also In the age of batarangs, can't be targeted by incapacitate is a big deal. So okay, that's a cool thing. Also he has the ability to sort of regen back up if you're not careful. And I know they're probably going to errata it that you have to target an opponent. You can't just target a wall. But as it stands now, you can target an object or a wall or something. Doesn't say you have to do damage. You can so you can just boo like bam, I heal Osiris. So next up is Aquaman at 110. And the only reason I like that is there's only a handful of maps that he's awesome, but those handful of maps make him really awesome. So, definitely consider him if you're looking at getting map for whatever reason. Okay. Moving on down the line, and I know you're going to be like, Dark Logos, you skipped like a bunch of characters. Like, yeah, I did. Beast Boy Tiger, again, the whole Beast Boy tech I think is really good, and getting some major boosts from the Gordinian on his attack would be really, really great. Also, I would say the Nightwing coming in at come on, I think it's 80 points. Yeah, the 80-point one. I like it a lot better than the 110. And the main reason is that on a Bat Family team or a Teen Titans team, he fills in. And pretty much if you have another figure with the Batman Ally TA, which, hey, Ricky Robin, you get Batman Ally TA. So that is really nice. Also, one thing I feel that he really benefits from in this like new era of meta is utility belt, so that he can like get off like a smoke cloud, or I think it's like the gas pellets or something like that, or get off handcuffs and get in there real easily. Also, he has a leader and detective. Nightwing can use leadership and outwit. If an opposing character within 4 squares is given an action to use perplex, Nightwing and adjacent friendly characters modify their defense values by +1 until your next turn. It helps you a little bit against some teams, but it's really it's not groundbreakingly awesome. It's just nice to have. All right, going down the line, my next pick is Lightning, just for the fact that she's cheap poison. 51 points, in dial enhancement. We're really not caring about that. 6 range, 9 attack. It's sort of almost pointless because she's hardly ever getting any attacks off. But overall, I think that she's okay. She has her little sibling duo trait with Thunder, but that doesn't matter too much. Next up is my man Cyborg. I have mixed bag results with him. I like him. He frustrates me. He is also one of those figures which I think the more I think on him, I'm like, oh, I can do this, and then I'm like, man, that's too much to invest in that one character. But he has a cool bag of tricks. The main one is that he's able to shoot through objects if they're within his range. So he can pretty much get a 14 range. Having Psychic Blast on his 143 dial is awesome. And I would say start with that, because his 100-point dial, that's a little rough to start from. Just to start from, even though you get running shot and then vulnerability and outwit. A 9 attack, it's oh gosh, that's tough. Being able to have Psychic Blast and Sharpshooter is awesome and gives you a lot of different options. So I would definitely say play him at 143, and if you can. Next up is Superboy. Traded super strength, hypersonic speed, 11 attack, 4 damage, in-dial shape change and charge. Then he has tactile TK, which he can use Force Blast when he does. Knockback characters are dealt 2 damage after actions resolve. Dang. The only other thing that you can make it, more deadly is if, he had some form of energy explosion. So who knows, that might be coming. Superman and Titans TA. So, you can get a Titan to be his heal battery. Um, is it wonderful magical support? No, but it's okay. But definitely Superboy, if you haven't copped him yet, I feel sorry for you. But he should be cheap. He should be under like $3. Next up is Center Hall. Center Hall, I think, is another character that will be slept on just because of the amount of overall offensive ridiculousness that's in the meta right now. 6 range, Psychic Blast, 3 damage, running shot, and Superman enemy, which is great. Also, he has Commanding Officer. Center Hall can use leadership. If he succeeds on a roll of 4 through 6, he succeeds on his leadership on a roll of 4 through 6 if another character on your force possesses the nowhere keyword. So you team him up with the guard, the nowhere soldier guard, or whoever he is, and then all of a sudden you're popping, tokens off of other figures. Now, I will say this, because Center Hall is 82 points and his little ability only goes off on a 4 through 6, I would more look at him as, hey, I need a lot of actions because I'm running a swarm team, and I need to almost guarantee, or at least have a 50-50 shot of getting at least one more additional action. So I would definitely say that's where Center Hall's at. If you make him like the highest point character on a swarm team and put in a nowhere soldier, then I think that you would have a lot of really cool options that you can deploy with him. Next up on my list is Rose Wilson. And yes, I did skip Empress. She's okay, but there's better mind control. Empress gives us those lovely high stats that we're looking at, but she falls off like a rock. But if with the calculator TA and so many Titans, you can heal her back up. Also, the big thing I like is that during her dead turn, she acts as a perplex battery and just helps out her teams. Her special power that I think is also interesting is Killer Among Killers. When Rose Wilson attacks an opposing character with a higher unmodified attack value, damage from that attack is penetrating damage. So she is very, very good against a lot of standard characters if she's been hit already. Now, what I do find frustrating is that she has Psychic Blast in that ability, but she also has Flurry in that ability, but I think she is overcosted on her click 3. But other than that, it's okay. All right, moving on. Leash, capture, TK, -2 on a capture target. I mean, what's there not to like? I know for a while people were like yelling, "Oh my gosh, he's so cheese," and then other things came out, and I don't even think people remember Leash at all. So next up on my list is Green Lantern, and Green Lantern is shenanigans just for the pure fact that he can name any standard attack or damage power that he wants, and be like, "Hey buddy, guess what? I've got that this turn," and there's no penalty. I would say both his versions, his 160 and 110, are worth it. They're worth it. You start with that awesome power. You can be a medic. You can be a psychic blaster. You can be an energy exploder. You can do range combat expert. You can use support. You can use what else can you use? Close combat expert. There's a lot of powers. No, I don't think you can use energy explosion. You can't use energy explosion, but I think you can use psychic blast or pulse wave. Yeah, because you do need to do a power action. You need to get them off anyway. But you see where I'm going. He has so many options, and he's Green Lantern TA, so he can just carry a bunch of different things. So if you need him for like wild card, whoring, or whatever, it's a lot of good options right there. Next up is I'm going to throw out Grunge, and mainly because a lot of people don't think about him and just mainly because he's a Gen 13 character. But here's why Grunge is interesting. He starts off with phasing. He has 10 attack, super strength on his first 3 clicks. Then he has his special power, molecular absorption. Grunge can use toughness when Grunge successfully attacks an object or a character holding an object or assigned a relic. I wish it said resource styles, but okay. Remove that object from the game. If the removed object was a heavy object, Grunge can use invulnerability instead until your next turn. If the removed object is a special object or a relic, Grunge can use impervious instead until your next turn. Now, where this becomes interesting is in those no gauntlet games or no resource style games where you can play special objects. Grunge just comes up and says, "Hey, buddy, you don't have that anymore." And that has a lot of advantages. And then hey, it's like, "Hey, buddy, you have that heavy there. I'm going to attack you, and now you don't have it anymore." Because there's nothing that says that he has to do damage. So just keep that in mind. Next up is a character that I'm on the fence on, and I'll just mention it. Terra. Up front, she has 2 roles. She either says, "Hey, I get you into position," or B, "You stay by me, I protect you." That's all she does. And that's the only thing that's really worth mentioning. Wall of Stone is okay. And it's like, "Oh, but you get 2 free blocking terrain markers within range." Okay. That's okay. All right, going on to the next character. Dan Dan likes Deathstroke. I'm not a fan of Deathstroke. Actually, there's a bunch of people I know that like the Deathstroke. So, shout outs to you all. I'm not a fan of Deathstroke, but I have enough people that have sung his praises for me to at least say, "Hey, you might want to consider getting one," even though he might be a bit overcosted because he's on Team Dial. Well, overpriced. So, I think I see him go for like $6 one time, but I could be wrong. But anyway, moving on. I'm going to give a shout out to Thunder. Mainly because Thunder is a very, very, very cheap running shot 3 damage. Okay. And I want people to understand this. We haven't seen a lot of characters like this. The last character I think I've seen like this was Storm from Marvel 10. And I think that he can help provide the basis of a very solid Swarm team. Now, here's my admission. Is after he gets past his first click, is he all that awesome? Not in current rules. In new rules, he can still put up a fight on clicks 2, 3, and 4. On click 5, I'm a little bit more on the mindset of run away now, get him out now, and if you can heal him, heal him. But that's more along the lines of how I feel. But I think him on a Swarm team will be awesome. And I mean his special power is just more like whatever. I really don't care about that. I can blast a bunch of people. Yeah, whatever. Going on. Oh yeah, that's Thunder. Indigo is just worth noting because I know some people are going to be like, Indigo plus some weird tech and we can, slap cuffs on people, and if you want to go that route, fine. I just don't think it's worth it. She's way too many points. And I know they're going to have a Prime Titans TA, just watch. And is going to do some BS, but I don't think she's worth it. On your outsider team, she might give you something cool that your team didn't have before, like the ability to lock down somebody, but other than that, that's it. Gizmo. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. I did a blog post on Gizmo, and I know they're not going to let slide that he can bring in special light objects into the game. Okay, they're definitely not going to let that slide. But if they do not errata that, he can bring in special light objects into the game, because it just says light objects from outside the game. So that for Modern Age, that means Kryptonite. For Golden Age, that means all manner of BS. Okay. The other thing that it comes in that's very interesting is that he ignores characters for movement, which is great. That means he always can get away. He's 6 clicks deep, which means that most times folks are going to have to dump 2 attacks into him to kill him. The next thing is that he only has his insane engineer for all but 1 click, and then he's trying to regen. So, it's up to you on what you want to do. Insane engineer allows Gizmo to remove a standard object from the game. If that object was a light, choose a standard attack power. If that object was a heavy, choose a standard damage power. Friendly characters within 4 squares can use the chosen power this turn. Now, why this is awesome is that I get next to, let's say, my Super Duper Man, because Super Duper Man is always awesome. And Super Duper Man is going against the League of Impeccable Heroes. Okay? But Super Duper Man does not have any form of a power that's going to crack the League of Excellent Heroes, whatever. You can already see where I'm going with my subtlety. Impervious. So Gizmo says, "Hey, Super Duper Man, you have Psychic Blast. Hey, Super Duper Man, you have Pulse Wave." And now it's a brand new day. Okay. Even more so, where I found in my new experiments trying to create some interesting meta, is the Pog tokens from the Fear itself. If there is a reason to actually have those Pogs, it's for Gizmo. Because imagine this. I remove a heavy object, and all of a sudden, 5-10 Pogs now have Perplex. I remove a light object, and now 5-10 Pogs have TK. It's like crazy good, don't you think? So, I think when we look at it, Gizmo, will he be looked at seriously by most people? Not really. I hate to say that. A lot of people are going to consider him a joke, and they're not going to think about him. But, if you want to get some very creative options, and I do mean very creative options, he is broke good. And if you start combining him with certain colossals that will go unnamed for right now, with new colossal rules that will go unnamed right now, and say, "Hey man, you do a special power, but I have the ability to give you the standard version of that power, which isn't exactly that power," which this colossal will go unnamed. But he does lock down teams, quote unquote. And it seems that very few teams can pass his tests that he hands out at school throughout the cosmos, quote unquote. So, if for those of you who get where I'm going, you will definitely will not have friends in 1,000-point games. But it is something to think about when facing certain other characters of what he can do. Okay, moving on. Gizmo is hella broke, and also he's not unique. So if you can find a way of generating multiple Gizmos, more power to you, and tell me how it goes. Like literally, tell me how it goes, because I really do want to know. Like if you had a high point game, play 2 Gizmos, because They let's see. Yeah, he can do the insane engineer as a free action, but he generates the objects as a power action. So tell me, like, did you spend a turn and give somebody like I don't know, psychic blast and energy explosion, or incapacitate energy explosion or something like that? Let me know. I really want to know what you, using new rules or playing around with new rules. What did you do to break Gizmo? And if you have multiples, and you will get a special shout out on this show from me, Dark Logos, your friend. Okay, going on. Next up, Static Shock. Why am I saying Static Shock? Because he is one of the characters that I would have made if I ever won Gen Con. So yeah, that's it. That's the only reason. That is the only reason. I understand why he has no keywords, but he did like join the Titans before the reboot, and they. Anyway, overall he's okay. His trait with the trash can lids is sort of cool. Allows him to have like super duper super senses, but I mean, other than that, that's it. Next up is Starfire. And Starfire is awesome because she has running shot, energy explosion, 2 targets, and she has shape change, and she also has energy shield deflection and invulnerability, just like Cyborg does. So she's going to be very hard to like beat down. And with the Titans team ability, I would just take other Titans to power her back up because she just stays good. The only time that I get concerned for her is her last 2 clicks. And even in her last 2 clicks, she's like, come close enough, I will blast you in the face. The true love thing, I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. But it only helps like a handful of Nightwings that I would think I would play. So, I mean, overall, I don't think that her trait is the best, and I hate to say it, she probably is a little bit overcosted because of that. If she had something like, True Friends, and it was like if anyone with the Titans keyword is adjacent to her, she had that little ability, I think that would have been a lot better. Alright, next up is Blackfire. And Blackfire is there because she just does ridiculous amounts of damage. With running shot, psychic blast, leadership, yeah, okay, whatever. She's easier to hit than her sister. She's a lot more points than her sister, but she actually has some good stuff on her. First off, Blackfire has improved movement, and she gets to ignore characters for movement purposes, so she can always break away to do her running shot, unlike Starfire. The next thing is Blackfire is a sharpshooter, unlike Starfire, which means she can point blank Kamehameha blast you with Psychic Blast, Energy Explosion. You can already point blank Pulse Wave anyway, but that doesn't matter. The next thing that it becomes really interesting is her trait, the Hated Sister. When Blackfire targets a character with the Teen Titans keyword, modify her attack value by +2, which puts it at a 13 on the high end and 11 at the low end, and with her damage value not dropping below a 3, yeah, that's some good stuff. Also, with new rules, Ranged Combat Expert, she could take one of that damage from the Ranged Combat Expert, put it in attack, and then she would be capped attack. So, against a Teen Titan. So, where I would say this becomes ridiculously good, and please note, I'm not telling you to be a douchebag to your friends. But when you really want to win that prize and you just happen to have Blackfire on your team, if your opponent has a Teen Titan or anybody with a Teen Titan keyword, what you do is you, since she has 2 targets, you target your real target that you want to shoot and that other character that has the Teen Titan keyword. Okay? Now, it modifies your attack values by +2 when you target a Teen Titan keyword person. Okay? It's so your attack value goes up. So you can hit you get technically a cool damage bump to target your real target. And for like the next 2 to 3 weeks, people are going to be playing lots of Teen Titans. Actually, I'll say this: the next 4 to 5 weeks, people are going to be playing lots of Teen Titan characters. So Blackfire is going to be high meta for like the next 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe I'll go out there and say 2 months. Then it's going to dwindle down once Wolverine and X-Men comes out. Even though the Superman stuff is out, that's okay. And you know what? Let's see. Let's check our time, people. Let's check our time. 40 minutes. You know what? Because I love y'all, I'm going to also review Superman. Booyah. But after I finish Titans. Okay. So overall, Blackfire has a lot of shenanigans that is really, really strong. Indomitable, all this other good jazz. And I think, I hate to say you a fool not to play her, but she is more offensive than Starfire, and Starfire is more defensive than Blackfire. So, okay. All right, next up is Skitter. I like her for what she does, and that's charged blades and double escape, impervious and shape change. She also gives plasticity, and she has her webbing thing that says characters can't automatically break away from Skitter, so she ties you down. Okay, so she ties down your improved movement characters. Opposing characters adjacent to Skitter can't use improved movement, ignores characters. That is huge. So she shuts down phasing teleport, and she shuts down improved movement. So definitely a big deal. Because with this character, you can tie up very annoying mechanic characters. Okay, you can lock them down. The other thing that becomes interesting is that with their improved movement, she has improved movement, and she ignores everything. Except she doesn't bust down walls, but she ignores elevated, hindering, and characters. So, yeah. Yeah. Alright, going on. Next up is Bunker. The Purple Man has been drinking that purple stuff while listening to Purple Rain. Force Blast, Smoke Cloud, Super Barrier. He has a trait which terrain markers placed by Bunker are not removed until they are destroyed, or until Bunker uses a power that places that type of terrain marker on the map. Perma Smoke Cloud, Perma Barrier. That's just strong. Then pretty much he has his first starting off special power is, oh yeah, I can use Barrier, and oh yeah, I have Smoke Cloud. And then he goes on and gets a special power. It's like, oh yeah, I can use Barrier, Incapacitate, and Quake. So, I mean, up front, he's a little bit tougher. He's a lot more supporty for his first 3 clicks. His last 3 clicks, he's a little less supporty, but he's trying to fill in that damage gap that happens, that needs to be filled mid to late game. So, Bunker, definitely a character that's going to be meta for a while. I'm going to give a shout out to Brother Blood. I didn't think I would, but I have found his dial to be quite interesting and challenging to fight. And that's about it. Going on. Next up is Simon. Simon is a Fearsome 5 member, which is sort of cool. He has the ability called Psychic Shield. Simon and adjacent friendly characters can't be targeted with Penetrating Psychic Blast. That's a big deal for your bigger characters and your high point games. And pretty much, if you own a New School Galactus, Simon is your friend, because now if Simon is adjacent, you can't be hurt by any form of penetrating damage outside of like Mystics. So yeah, definitely a must buy if you are a Galactus player. You also can get Mind Control with him. When he does, his attack value is up boosted by +2, and if he targets more than one character, he is not dealt unavoidable damage, which is sort of cool. Now, is he Brother Voodoo good? No. But he's still good, because if you target 2 characters, Sorry, target. When you use mind control, you have a 12 attack plus you have perplex, so you can up it to a 13, and you can target 2 characters within 8 range. That's good. So I mean, overall, I'm like, yeah, this is some good stuff. He has willpower and energy shield with his second special power, but that's nothing to write home about. Next up is my girl Omen. Now, Omen, I feel Omen would be a character that people would be protesting Whiz Kids about, if not for Justice League and Teen Titans and Villains for Hire team bases. Like, in all honesty. For the games I played with her, she is really, really, really strong. And when you go into new rules, she becomes broke strong. And here's why. She can hide behind walls and just be like, mind control you, perplexed you, you can't shoot me. And I'm not saying, oh, barrier. No, I'm saying literally I hid behind 2 layers of walls. There is nothing that my opponent could do to get to me. And by the time my opponent does get to me, I have Mastermind and some patsy there to take the damage, okay? So overall, she is broke good. Yes, she will take feedback damage from mind control. Whoa. But in a standard 300-point game, who cares? Most of the characters she's targeting are going to be under 150. Okay, so anyway, Omen has her, as I've alluded to, can use mind control. When she does not need line of fire. Then her second special power on damage, the worst of you. Omen can use perplex. When she does, she may only target an opposing character within range. She does not need line of fire to the target, and she may only modify combat values by -2. So yeah, you can't boost your own team, but with a -2 perplex, it's like, hey man, I see you got some cool damage there. I perplexed that down. How you doing? Hey buddy, I see that you got a really good attack value there with an 11. I'm gonna perplex that down. Now that's a 9. Or more seriously, like, hey buddy, I see you got a cool 17 defense there. Oh yeah, that's really good. I'm gonna perplex it down. Now it's a 15. Welcome to Infinity Challenge. Pretty much that's what she does. She says, welcome to Infinity Challenge. And Hyper Time. That's what she does to your stats. She makes you go back in time. And make you have like one of those old school comics where it's like, oh my gosh, we have to make sure that the time stream is not messed up. So anyway, Omen, definitely like high level meta. The Ray, definitely pick him up because he makes your Justice League characters and your Freedom Fighter characters and your Justice League International characters more broken because you can give them stealth. And let's not forget the hypersonic speed. So, alright, whatever. Warblade and Harvest are a joke. They just rebooted Warblade from Wildcats and put him into Nowhere, and that was dumb. Alright, for the chases, I'm going to say this. Sun Girl is good, and I think she's worth keeping if you pull one, because I have one. I think the fact that she has a fiery explosion when Sun Girl is adjacent... Oh, no, that's not it. Not the pulse wave. Burn you at your weakest. That's it. When Sun Girl attacks a character that's not on a starting click, modify her attack and damage values by +1. So on her starting click, she would have an 11 attack and 4 damage with Psychic Blast for 109 points. That's really good. So she is the follow-up attacker. Okay, so if you look at it like if Solstice is the first attacker, Sun Girl is the follow-up attacker that says, and now you're dead. Okay. That's the best way I can look at it. Her fiery explosion, that's dumb. And they did try to do this. Hey man, if you collect all the chases, not only did you give Whiz Kids in your local store a bunch of money, but you get to do this cool thing. So I don't think it's as good as the Amazing Spider-Man stuff. So anyway, going on. I like Sun Girl. I like Persuader, even though it doesn't make sense why Persuader is going for like $20-something. Persuader give Persuader a free action when she is adjacent to a friendly character with the Prime Titans keyword. Roll a d6 on a result of a 4 through 6. You give the adjacent character an action token. Persuader may make a close combat attack, which is pretty cool. So she can just like keep swinging. The other thing is sweeping strikes. Persuader can use improved movement. Ignores characters. When making a close combat attack, Persuader treats characters 2 squares and line of fire as adjacent. That's awesome. Atomic Axe. Persuader can use Blaze Claw's fangs. When she does, the attack can't be evaded. The damage dealt is penetrating. So pretty much, you can't super sense out of it. You can't imperv out of it. That is awesome. So it's like guaranteed damage. So hey, I might have to get my hands on a Persuader for some testing. All right. Now, Zookeeper is sort of fun. He shuts down a lot of different mechanics, which I'm pissed off on. But, I mean, overall, it's okay. Superboy Prime, everyone's like, he's the Brokens. And in actuality, he's not. And then both his point values are really sort of meh. And I know it's like, well, Dark Low goes to 350, he's 11 clicks. But you're starting with Battle Fury. Like, that just takes so much wind out of his sails. And if you look at his whole Prime Titans lineup, buddies, you're depending on Headcase to get you into position. And yeah, like you don't really get to maximize everything as I would like to. Now, his little why should you live when my world is dead, when an opposing character within 8 squares is healed, you may place Superboy Prime adjacent to that character. If you do, deal that character 1 unavoidable damage and remove an action token from Superboy Prime. Now, this allows him to punish the opponent for healing. If they're using Titans to heal, this pretty much guarantees that your opponent won't be using Titans within 8 squares of Superboy Prime. In larger point games, I'm sorry, like 350 is way too much, even at a 1,000-point game. At 350, I can play a lot more figures that can do a lot more damage than Superboy Prime. I think what happened is everyone's like, hypersonic speed, super strength, battle fury, blah, it's awesome, and forgot new rules. And new rules that are coming, he'll have to roll breakaway, even though he'll have +3. And not only, not +3, +2. And not only that, he's going against other things at higher point values that just do way more penetrating damage, way more just offensive capability, just so much more stuff. So for all those people that went and pulled one, sell him and go and put a down payment on GSX. For those people that didn't pull him, don't think you lost anything. I'm not really gonna look at the figures that are inside the team packs, team dials, just for the pure fact that mostly you're gonna be playing them on team dials. But I'll give you a quick rundown of characters I would run by themselves, and in no particular order. Raven, she's good. I like her. Just overall. Batman at 100 points. That trait is broken. It's way too broken. Let's see. Cinder. Yeah, Cinder and Cheshire, those two ladies should be run by themselves on many occasions. They are really good. Definitely Cinder. Burnout and Sarah Rainmaker. Range combat expert. And for super cheap points and high damage. Yeah, Starfire, from the Outlaws she's 114 points, but she's all right. Um, yeah, and that's about it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into the Superman or Man of Steel gravity feed uh, and all its silliness. I really like to say, and I know most of you would probably agree with me. I think that the way that it's set up with the Man of Steel gravity feed, um, it's the same way that they're dealing with Iron Man movies. Like, hey, guess what? Go to mass market, you get this. If you go into your local comic book shop, you're going or hobby shop, you're going to get this other thing. And I don't really like that because a it splits the customer base, and b it's WizKids trying to please two parties and knowing that they can't be pleased, and in the end it puts the customer base in the middle. And I know WizKids will say like, well, you don't have to buy it all, and it's like, well, it's not the fact that I don't have to buy it all, it's when I want to buy something you make it extremely difficult for me to buy that thing, and then set up unreasonable expectations. So that's why I really would say check out eBay if you're going to buy any of this set. Go to eBay. I don't think that any of this set is really worth buying blind for. There's a few, like literally maybe three pieces or four pieces out of this whole set that I actually think are decent. But I don't think they're going to be meta changing or even saying, "Hey, no Justice League." Uh, I don't think they're going to be like the end all be all. Now, there is one. I'll take that back. There is one figure which you'll hear here shortly that I think is really good. Uh, anyway, all right. So let's look at it. First off is Superman, and I gotta say, running shot, psychic blast with sharpshooter is nice, but 200 points for what you get isn't. And then getting running shot energy explosion is sort of nice, but for paying like I think like 100 points for 5 clicks, I would rather go with some other figures uh, for that level of investment. If you need a Kryptonian or you need a cheap Superman, I think this is the cheapest Superman that you can get in modern age. That's not attached through a team dial or something like that. Next up is Kryptonian Scientist. And really the only things these guys are set to do is take the place of the AIM Renegade once they retire, which I don't think that's going to happen. But they're 36 points. They have Minion of a Proud Race when a friendly character with the Kryptonian keyword and a higher point value is within 8 squares. Kryptonian Scientist can use willpower. Doesn't really matter that much unless you're doing a Kryptonian team. Um, and even then, anyway. Brainstorming for weaponry. When a friendly character with a scientist keyword and a higher point value is within 8 squares, Kryptonian scientists can use Psychic Blast. This I think is sort of cool, but it doesn't really make it worth 36 points. Next up is General Zod, which I think is pretty good. He at the 250, sorry, 225. I think it's a bit expensive for what he does. Even though you start with his whole running shot, energy explosion, sharpshooter niceties, I do enjoy that. But coming in at 225 with 3 damage is just not that good. The fanatical followers with the mastermind at a distance is awesome. His battlefield command is also awesome. Uh, I think the special power, all my training, all his power could have been a little bit better. Um, but it allows you to stay inside of a melee fight. So that's what I like, and it will allows you to stay inside a melee fight if you do knockback and reposition to maybe a better place. So yeah. Next up is Kryptonian Rebel. Completely worthless unless you're doing a Kryptonian theme. Um, yeah, so don't like them. Jor-El. Now this is dumb. They have the House of L keyword, when you could have just had Kryptonian. Like, this dumb. Like, it's not even worth it for a handful of characters that you will probably never play again to have a keyword that literally doesn't even serve any greater purpose. So, yeah. He has stealth. He also has cunning scientist. Jarrell can use outwit. When he does, he may be given a power action instead of a free action to counter a team ability instead of a power or a combat ability. 75 points. I think this is the cheapest that we've gotten that ability. But guess what, homies? We have the utility belt. So yeah, not that awesome. Moving on. Now, I'll take that back. Some people be like, well, what if I have a tournament where it doesn't allow me to have the utility belt? Go ahead, invest in them. Yeah. Anyway, Kryptonian Warrior. Not really feeling them. Just another example of crap. Not worth buying. Lois Lane. This I like. 39 points, leap climb, super senses. She has nosy reporter. Lois Lane can use outwit. When she does, she ignores characters for line of fire purposes. So you don't exactly give her Superman TA, but what actually happens is you get something a little bit better because you're able to outwit through and around your own characters. So that's pretty strong. I actually like that. Now, the one thing it says you don't get to ignore uh, hindering terrain for line of fire purposes. So I think if someone was still in stealth, they would stay in stealth, but you could see around the stealth person or around the person using, camouflage or League of Assassins or hand or anything like that. So anyway, going on, soldier. Yeah, not really worth it, in my opinion. Moving on, Clark Kent. This character is not that great because if we look at the 115 points, um, you can get so much more out of him. Now, his whole helping hand from the distance, if Clark Kent has not KO'd an opposing character, he can use stealth. If he has, he can't use stealth from any game effect. That's dumb right there. You should give me an effect of saying like, hey, guess what, man? I can use stealth if I haven't KO'd anyone. If I have KO'd anyone, I get to use incapacitate or energy shield deflection. Something, man. I mean, pretty much there's no reason for me to use Clark Kent to go and kill anybody ever. I just sit on my laurels and be like, yeah, Clark Kent softening them up. You know, that's dumb. Eh, that's just dumb. Anyway, moving on. Namek, aka should have been Non, aka I don't know why he's not called Non. Full dial Battle Fury with Superman enemy. And he falls off his attack value, like all Superman enemies do. Um, Gosh, I hate that. The whole improved movement, he has a lot of it. He gets to move through blocking terrain and destroys it when he moves through it. He has the strongest Kryptonian. Namek can use super strength. When Namek is given a move action, you may give him a standard heavy object to hold from outside of the game. Now, people, ask yourself, with all the things that have happened recently, who can abuse this? So anyway, that's something to consider. Okay. Then destroy for General Zod. When Namek attacks a character with the Superman ally team ability or a Kryptonian keyword, modify his attack value by +1. That again, why am I paying for that? Like that's just dumb. Okay, going on. Jaxor. Jaxor um, has stealth and perplex and Superman enemy for what 62 points. How many freaking villains does this dude fight in this movie? Like I like just sort of noticing like there's a lot of villains. You got Zod, you got Jaxor, you got Namek. Like what sort of character development is going on, or is this like a 3 hour movie? Like I guess will there be like intermission so people can go and relieve themselves from all the popcorn and soda that they drank and ate? I mean, come on. Anyway, deadly weapons. Give Jaxor a power action. Choose an adjacent friendly character. Roll a d6 on a result of 1 through 4. Damage dealt by the chosen character can't be reduced below 1 this turn. On a result of 5 through 6, damage dealt by that character is penetrating damage this turn. It's okay. It's okay. Going on. Laura Lorvan. House of L. 31 points. Support, and then goes into perplex. Then she has the trait to save my son. If a friendly character named Superman would be KO'd, you may instead turn him to his last click and KO Laura Lorvan. I think this is sort of dumb. Now hear me out why. I'm paying 31 points for a medic for Superman and pretty much a sort of stop click for Superman. Any Superman. Any Superman. Now you could say, well, Dark Logos, this could help me save my icon Superman from death. Yes, it could. But at the same time, why would you play Laura Lorvan when you can play Donald Blake, who can actually heal you? Think about it. If I have an 8 attack and no like defend with my 15 defense and I just energy shield deflection, I mean really, like this medic is crappy. The only reason it's worth this much and not 10 points like a like a nurse, which pretty much is almost the exact same stats, is for that to save my son bull. So I think this is dumb. Like don't buy this. It's just so dumb. And it's like, but Dark Logos, I could get multiples, and you can't. It's unique. Like, but Dark Logos, I could save the Superman. Like, whatever. I mean, the worst part of it is okay. Let's say that you go all the way back to the Superman set and you get the Return of Superman chase. His trait his trait wouldn't go off. Okay, so Laura Lorvan would die. Okay, save Superman, then they would just kill him again, and then he would die and then come back. So you would say like, well, Dark Logos, he sunk in 2 attacks. I'm like, man, I could use like a guy with 2 damage and kill him. So overall, I think that this is not the greatest figure for you to have. In the future, there may be some magical hero to come save the day, named Superman, that this would benefit. Maybe some like Elseworld Superman, that would be awesome. But as it stands now, like no. Next up, I'm going to talk about we're going into what I would assume are the chases and the starter and all other stuff, or mass market exclusives. Sorry. So bear in mind, there will be some Venom. Colonel Hardy. Okay. He gets PD ability, TK, leadership, mastermind, and he has some cool interaction with the soldiers. Indomitable. Okay, like you're better off with a lot of other pieces. But if you really, really want TK, MPD ability with Indomitable and Mastermind and leadership, you're a little bit limited outside of Colonel Hardy. Now, for your soldier teams are happy. All your other teams are looking at you sideways. Feora, the Trio of Doom. Gosh. It's pretty much Ursa, but she has this trait. Feora ignores stealth. Well, whoop-de-doo. Okay, so Blaze Claw's fangs in an 8 range and Indomitable and Perplex. I overall I think it's okay. It's not the greatest. In dial region, okay, yay. 154 points. Not for that 10 attack, ma'am. Not for all that 10 attack. Next is Helix, which wants to make you say Kleenex. He is part of House of L. He has leap climb and super strength and enhancement and 96 points with the PD team ability. And he's called Jarrell's Servant, which makes me wonder, did Jarrell become a cop? I thought he was a scientist, or is he like a police scientist? Or is he part of the science police? What is Jarrell? Or is he part of the rebellion or the maintaining the status quo? What is this? This doesn't make sense. Why they getting all this PD? Uh, anyway, Cleex pulls a Pepper Potts on us, which in the end is really not worth making his points worth it. So, oh well. Next up is General Zod. Now you can notice the pickup in the voice, the enthusiasm, the inflection, and you might say, Dark Logos, what's making you like that? And it's truly this. This guy is so BS that he should not exist. And if it wasn't for Justice League, like I said, people would be all over this dude more so than Superboy Prime. And again, you're like, Dark Logos, you smoking that stuff, man. But here we go. Hypersonic speed, 12 attack, 18 defense, 4 damage, sharpshooter, indomitable, freaking Superman enemy TA, making him ridiculously expensive, 8 range, and Conqueror trait. When General Zod attacks a single opposing character and hits, if that character has 1 action token, give that character a 2nd action token. Yeah, so that is some really good stuff. Because pretty much what will happen is that with Conqueror, Zod comes in and says, "Hey, you have a token. I'm going to hit you, and then after I hit you, I don't have to do damage. And you have 1 action token. And hey, guess what? So I'm going to give you another action token. So I hit you. I don't have to deal damage to you. I just have to hit you. So impervious guys, guess what? You have a problem with Zod now because Zod just comes in and he's like, "Who's your daddy?" And lights you up with an object and then puts a token on you and then says, "Guess what, man? I'm into all sorts of weird stuff. Handcuffs." There you go. So the new 500 point meta or 600 point meta, 600 point meta, General Zod, the Justice League utility belt, and handcuffs. There you go with Batman TA. Oh gosh, that's so wrong. But yeah, like this guy, get this guy. This guy's good. The other General Zod's pretty okay too, but this one is good. Now his whole 150 points, that's sort of crap. That is sort of crap. Don't buy that. Sorry, don't use that because it's. I don't think that it really shows the best of what he can do. All right, next up is Superman. I think this is the starter. No, this is a marquee Superman. Trait, Man of Steel has invulnerability, which is sort of okay. But he starts off like 350 points. Oh, buddy, we're in for a ride. Next, he has a trait, Superman for any situation. Superman is a wild card. Oh, gosh. But he may only copy team abilities from friendly characters in which he shares a keyword, which is dumb because he's just Kryptonian. Okay? So it's like, hey, guess what, guys? Look, we have all this PD and Superman enemy. Yeah, that's dumb. Okay, next up is powered by Earth's yellow sun. Superman may use charge. When he does, he may use improved movement. Uh, ignores blocking terrain and destroys blocking terrain as the character moves through it. Ignores characters. So pretty much Superman already has Superman TA and he flies. So he already says to hindering, I don't care. So he can bust through walls and ignore characters to go just, Kamehameha blast somebody for a charge. So I actually got to think of a better phrase for a melee attack. Kamehameha blast is a ranged attack. So I got to think of something like pile driver or clothesline or something cool. Yeah, submit your ideas for the catchphrase for a super powerful melee attack. Falcon Punch. What do you think about that? Falcon Punch? I don't know. So let me know. Or was it Falco Punch? Yeah, Falco Punch, not Falcon Punch. Falco Punch. There you go. Anyway, then he has solar regeneration. Superman can use regeneration. When he occupies a square of outdoor terrain, you may add the elevation to the result of the D6 roll. Which can be ridiculous because some maps, I think, they go up to like elevation 4. Like that Frost map or something from Hammer of Thor Fast Forces. It's on the back of Muspelheim. I know Muspelheim because I play it a lot to mess with people. Definitely with cop cars. It's the evilest thing you can do. Okay. So this overall is not that good. You might say, like, he has 19 defense and all this other stuff. Yes, he does. But he has an 8 range, no running shot with Psychic Blast. He has no traded super strength. So you don't start off with objects. You get objects later. His defend and super senses are sort of nice with invulnerability, giving him ghetto imperv. But still, he has some things he has to be concerned about. Once he gets towards the end, his crazy regen can be awesome, but guess what? He suffers the same problems of most one-man armies is. There's just not enough damage that he can give out in a day. And I hate to say this should have been the first Superman with multi-attack coming in at 350. And there's no reason I would play this Superman over the Chase Crisis Earth 2 Superman if I had the choice. If I had the choice, not the economic ability. Just saying. All right. So that's the marquee Superman. Now going into the starter. This Superman is okay. His trait and inspiration, friendly characters with a lower point value that begin or end an action adjacent to Superman can use willpower for that action, which is sort of cool because he pretty much says I have Harvey Dent built in, and that's nice. I'm here to help. Superman can use defend and probability control, only to replace defense values and re-roll the rolls of characters that are not on their starting click. Now, that's dumb. That is dumb. Now, because this does show up on your non-starting clicks, you can use it for yourself, but it's still dumb. I have prob, and I have defend, but only if you're beat up, because if you're not beat up, you don't need protection. That's dumb. Okay, going on. Jor-El. Again, makes me question a lot of things. House of El, Kryptonian, scientist soldier. The more it goes on, the more ridiculous. Jor-El is Superman, not Superman. Jor-El's the one living like the life of mystery and intrigue. That's what's really going on. Lab explosion. Jor-El can use pulse wave. When he does, his damage value becomes 2 and is locked. After actions resolved, deal Jor-El 1 unavoidable damage. That's dumb. That's really dumb. Because you do 1 unavoidable damage, now you're on to something crappy. Okay, then it's like advanced technology. Jor-El can use energy, shield deflection, and invulnerability. Well, if you had all this advanced technology, what stops? Why didn't you stop the explosion in the lab? Like that's okay. I know this is me nitpicking, but really, like you had advanced technology. What stopped you? Why couldn't you stop the explosion in the lab? Or was the explosion more technologically advanced than you? I see new paths for us. Jor-El can use outwit and probability control. Now, okay, now, people. Here's here's where it really comes down to. You start off with the outwit and prob, but in all honesty, once you get to that energy explosion, that pulse wave and energy shield deflection goodness, you're really you're killing yourself here. Um, because you're saying, hey, I'm going to keep using pulse wave and blow myself up and possibly kill myself. I don't I don't even if I miss you, I still take damage because it says after action resolved, deal Jor-El one unavoidable damage. It doesn't say after you dealt damage. It says after the action's resolved. So pretty much Jor-El's like, hey, I gotta do something here and blow stuff up. And it may or may not work. I'm throwing the kitchen sink at it. Whatever. So I wouldn't play it. Not at 100. Let's see, what's his lower point value? 75? Oh, heck no. Definitely not. Now, if you were like, hey, but he has TK and Prob, and I'm be like, so does Enchantress. Unless you really want to do that House of L team or that Kryptonian team, then you really don't need them. Next up is Namek from the starter. And oh, sorry, I skipped a Kryptonian Warrior. I apologize. I'll go back real quick. Kryptonian Warrior, 75 points, and I'd be up 50 points. I would say yay. Thumbs up on this. First off, just looking at the dial, 75 points, 10 attack, 17 defense, charge, exploit weakness, 5 range. That's good. Add in trait for Krypton. Kryptonian Warrior modifies his attack and damage value by +1 when attacking a character with the Trio of Doom keyword or Superman enemy team ability. So he's not completely borked. For normal games. Okay. Minion, Fighting Spirit. Gosh. Anyway, I had a whole lot of StarCraft games pop up in my head. When a friendly character with a higher point value in the warrior keyword is within 8 squares, Kryptonian Warrior can use willpower. So that's good for your warrior team. So overall, great goodness. Next up is Namek. More goodness. And you're like, what? Dark Logos, more goodness? Yes, more goodness. And here is why. Look at his dial. Look at how much you're paying. Look at how much damage reduction you have. Yeah, that's why. I haven't seen this much damage reduction on a character and a dialing really this good for 100 points in a long while. So this is really good. Ignore the fact that he has Battle Fury and Close Combat Expert for a part of his dial. Forget that. Don't worry about that. Just look at the pure fact of he has a starting 4 damage and that he is really hard to kill. That's it. Next up is Fiora. I'm sort of not feeling it. Her trait is Espionage. Feora, I said Fiora. Feora can use stealth. When Feora is the target of a ranged combat attack, she can use super senses, which is dumb. It gives you and I'm just saying, if you look at all the stuff that's been released recently, it's a high chance for her to be punched. Definitely with all the Fear itself, Teen Titans. Oh my gosh, the Iron Man. These other 50 sets that were announced that I have no clue that are in modern age. The odds of melee being on your opponent's team is pretty high. So, not really feeling it. Next up is General Zod. And he comes in at 200, and I'm betting 100. Yep, 200 and 100. WizKids, so predictable. I didn't even know what his second point value was. and then I guessed it correctly. Running shot for 4 clicks starting off. Energy explosion. 2 targets, not bad. No sharpshooter on this one, which is sort of unhappy on that, but I understand. Uh, Military strategist General Zod can use leadership in Perplex. Uh, he can use Perplex normally, or may target each friendly character within line of fire and with whom he shares a keyword. Now, why is this awesome and why does this suck? At 200 points, he does not deliver enough damage for a 200-point character. But at really, if you're able to like grind through his dial, which I don't really recommend at 100 points to get that brilliant tactician wonderfulness added in with PD, it can be pretty good. I think it's fun, and I think it will help fun games. But this is not meta. If someone says like, let's reenact the movie, then yeah, go ahead, play it. Good stuff. Thumbs up. But if you're looking for meta play, that's not it. Then it comes with a bystander token, because of course this is how we roll now. A 20-point Kryptonian rebel with 10 attack, 16 defense, and toughness and 2 damage, and a soldier who has willpower, range, combat expert at 12 points. I am really not a fan of either. I just think they're both pretty bad. All right, so that's pretty much the set in general. Like I said, there's when it comes to the Superman set, I mean, if you're one of the people that's like, hey, man, I need that physical pack in my hand, buy the starter. It has some interesting things in there. But overall, if I was to say, playability wise, the starter is a little bit better than the Teen Titans Fast Forces, but man, not that much better. Now, if you're a map person, I don't know what magical map is inside, but that's almost like a auto buy. So yeah, that's what's up. Okay. Time for us to get things going. All right. Pretty much, you can hit me up on Twitter at StartOverPod. That's at StartOverPod. You can find out when a show is updated or sent out. That's the easiest way to find out. Is if I've put something up on the Twitters, because Twitter automatically updates from YouTube. Because if you subscribe, while that is okay, nice, sorta, when people look at it, it's like, oh, you got so many followers, it's awesome. And it's like, yeah, it is awesome. You guys are awesome. But sometimes YouTube is not too friendly about unpopular or not as popular new content. Okay, you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. Tell me what should be the name of a very powerful melee attack. Falco Punch, something other cool and awesome. The punch of 1,000 suns. What should it be? You all have submitted very creative ideas to me in the past. So I'm up for it. And also, once I announce it, do hold me to it, because I am bound to forget. Okay. Also, a little correction. I think in a couple of shows I said like Justice League, if you didn't have all the characters on, it couldn't do whatever amount of actions. Pretty much I was wrong, and I admit that. And what ended up happening is the show order that you listened to was not the recorded order. Okay, so what had happened is I think I did episode 62, and I talked about team dials. Then I recorded with Aroni KJS. Then I got information from Howard Brock. So I recorded Howard Brock 2 days after I recorded Aroni KJS. So then, because of timeliness, and I didn't want to just bump Roni. So I put the special with Howard Brock first, and then put the later show with Roni KJS. So for those of you that are like, oh, okay, that they're a little bit confused on my analysis, I sort of found out I was wrong after I talked to Roni KJS. So so be it. I had an email on that. So big up to you, guy, who did call me out on that. If you correct me, I'm not bitter. I'd rather be right in the long run and give out right information than be perpetually wrong. So that's what's up. Anyway, moving on. You can check out the blog at startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. That's startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. It is a source of information whenever I get around to it. Some weeks are better than others. Way, way better than others. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. And also, too, there's some interesting conversation on there. You would also see my analysis on Gizmo, why Gizmo is broken. And I will be playing him this weekend in a 400-point Silver Age game. And my team is as follows. Feel free to copy if you want to. Justice League team base at 300. Gizmo, the Bat Signal, Gold K, Lois Lane Pog at 5 points. The Justice League Silver Age TA. And you might be saying, why no 5 Leanne Harpers? Well, it's the pure simple fact that Silver Age for my venue is Justice League and Avengers Forward. So Leanne Harper is from Icons. So unfortunately, I cannot play her and some other rather cheap characters that I would have loved to play. With everything, Gizmo can wildcard Justice League Silver Age, or Batman, Superman, or JLA Team Ability. JLA Team Ability, who needs that? Also, I can use Lois Lane to summon back the Justice League after they've moved out. And last but not least, there's Gold K there to protect me from Psychic Blast and Pulse Wave. Once I get in Exploit Weakness, once I get next to those characters. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting tournament. And don't forget the fact that Gizmo can give me Psychic Blast, so I can kill other Justice Leagues. All right. That's it. You got any show ideas? Hit me up. I will be doing a show on combos, combo and figures. Somebody PM me that. I think it's Veshabon. I probably am butchering your name, dude. So sorry. And he has his own channel. So you can Google him or YouTube him. And I forgot how to spell his name. But he usually has like a comment or something. Definitely, again, also hit up Glass Cabinet Hobbies. He's not paying me to endorse him. But the cat's done a lot for the community. So hit him up. And if you want to pre-order or buy from him, cool. If not, cool too. There's, it's just options on the table. All right. Ugh. After a long podcast, I am tired and I need to do other things. So, thank you for listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime. And unless you're Superman, you need to start over very frequently because your reboots suck. Check y'all later.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's got along. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her,
but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call.
I will swing down to save her.